Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the MFC Approach podcast. Today's podcast is going to be a solo episode with just me, yours truly, Luke Madsen. Super grateful for this opportunity, actually. I haven't done a solo episode of the podcast for quite a while. Honestly, kind of been hit and miss with the podcast for quite a while. Have uploaded the last 2 weeks, and I'm really excited to kind of be back on the tracks of uploading podcasts regularly, and do want to start a sort of sprinkle in every now and then some solo episodes just for you guys to get some of my thoughts, my opinions, my approaches to health and fitness and wellness as a whole. And today's episode was kind of triggered in my mind, I guess, by a post that I recently did. And I want to kind of dive into this a little bit more and kind of get some more of my thoughts out on this, because I think so often I view health and fitness and just overall well-being, and I view it in absolutes. I view it, by specific measuring points. And one of the ways that I often do that is by your physique, the physique that you have. And I think oftentimes we can attribute somebody's physique to them either being healthy or unhealthy. And I will say this, I think most of the time it's a pretty good indicator of health. So I'm just kind of thinking through this a little bit. I have notes and stuff that I kind of want to touch on as I go, but was just thinking about that just a little bit more. And I do believe that is the case. Oftentimes, I feel very grateful that I have built the physique that I have. I will openly admit to anyone that asks me what my goals are when it comes to my health. And I think one of the top priorities for me is having a physique that I'm proud of. Again, not that a physique is always the best indicator of health, but I do think that it is a good indicator of a lot of things. I think it's a good indicator of self-respect. I think it's a good indicator of overall effort and discipline. And I guess, again, it's like some people may agree or disagree with that, and I'm totally fine with people disagreeing with the things I say here today. But bottom line for me is, if you're putting in the time and the effort and the energy to be healthier, then why would you not want to create a physique that also looks good and that you're proud of? So I kind of want to dive into that just a little bit more. The post that I put on social media recently was, I kind of had the caption of, the top three reasons why I have the physique I do, and what exactly I attribute that to. And so I kind of want to talk through those things a little bit, and then maybe dive into a few other things as well. Again, because I really want to help you guys get inside of my head and get inside of, my thoughts and my approach to health and wellness and fitness and nutrition. And so I want to try and be a little bit more transparent with that. And I think, honestly, talking through my thoughts a little bit more is going to be a really good way for me to solidify some things in my mind as well, because I often find myself, kind of going back and forth on certain things, and whether it be with health and fitness, or whether it be with whatever, politics or anything in life. So I wanted to kind of talk through this just a little bit more and express, out loud to an audience of people what my beliefs are on how I have built the physique that I have. And I'm not going to go into like really great detail, or maybe the things that you might think I'm going to talk about when when I talk about, how I built the physique I have, I'm not necessarily going to dive into nutrition. I'm not necessarily going to dive into fitness and the workouts that I've done. But more so, I'm going to talk about the attributes that I've had to develop in order to build the physique I have up to this point. And I say up to this point because I do not view in my mind as I'm near the end, because I'm not. I every single day look forward to, continuing to build and grow and develop in the different ways that I have identified that I want to develop at this time. So the three things, though, that I attribute the physique that I have to are, first and foremost, consistency and consistently putting in the time. And so again, it's like there's things that I've done specifically to build the physique I have, but it's doing those things over and over and over and over again. I often refer to, my fitness journey started, honestly, I started lifting weights in high school. But I don't think it's fair for me to say that that's when my fitness journey started. I lifted weights initially for football. And then, it kind of evolved into, wanting to improve my physique because I was a little runt in high school, and I wanted to, build bigger muscles, have more confidence in that way. And also look better. As a self-centered kid in high school, that those were the reasons why, I was doing that, why I was lifting weights. But it wasn't until, after I got home from serving my mission for the church, for the church I go to, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that's when I really started to get into fitness and really decided to start prioritizing, my health, and building, again, the physique that I wanted at the time, because I wanted to play college baseball. And that was kind of my motivation and my drive. Also, again, being totally open and transparent, I was ready to start dating, and then have those relationships as well, and potentially find somebody that I wanted to be with forever. And I've always thought that if I expect my wife, to take care of her body and to have a physique that she's proud of, then why would I not do the same? So that's kind of some of the reasons why I started doing this. And that was in 2013. Okay, so we're 12 years past that time now, and since that time, I've kind of evolved, through different times of life, going from, being in college and playing a sport to just being in college and not necessarily playing, college sports or anything like that, to graduating college and starting my career. And then, to another phase of life where, having kids. And having kids, I think, by far outweighs all the others when it comes to, being more challenging. All the different phases of life brought challenges for me to continue to prioritize my health, but having children definitely is one of those things that it's a challenge, and you got to work around it. I think one of the main reasons, even before I had kids or even thought about having kids, one of the main reasons why I knew I was going to always prioritize my health and continue to go to the gym and eat good was because I couldn't tell you how many times I had people, whisper in my ear, wait until you have kids, you won't look like that anymore. And every single time I had somebody tell me that, I doubled down to myself, that I would not allow myself to let myself go. I would not allow myself to get the dad bod. And so I'm super grateful that I had those moments, and I'm super, super grateful for those critics in my life who told me, the only reason you're the way you are is because you don't have kids. And so me and my wife didn't have kids for a while. I think we were married for 8 years before we had kids. And I mean, every time somebody would tell me that, oh man, a fire just grew within me and made me double down again on the fact that I will never get a dad bod. I will never allow myself to get to that point. My health and my fitness and nutrition will always be a priority. And I prioritize it as my third highest priority in my life. First and foremost is my priority to my God. And second is my priority to my wife and my kids. Third is my priority to my health and my well-being. Again, I think any much lower on your priority list, it's going to get neglected and it's going to get pushed to the side. So getting kind of, long-winded a little bit when it comes to consistency and putting in the time. But guys, there have been so many different obstacles that have come up in my life that I'm so proud and so grateful to be able to say that there was never anything that was put in my path that prevented me from prioritizing my health. And again, that time, the consistency, the reps of, going to the gym, eating a good diet, all of those things played a huge role into me being where I'm at today with my physique. And not just my physique, but my health in general. So anyways, number one, consistently putting in the time. Number two is I've had to practice patience. There are things that will teach patience, maybe just the same or better than, building a physique that you want. However, for me in my life, this is one of the things that I feel like has taught me patience the most. Not that I'm necessarily a patient person, definitely have my moments of being impatient, and it's not necessarily something that I would call a strength, but I know that without practicing the patience that I have had to build the physique that I've built, I would not have any concept, of what patience really is. I feel like so often, as I get on consultation calls with people who are interested in improving their health, I ask the question every single time, if we were to work together, what would you want to see happen? What results would you want to see in, 3 to 6 months? And it's, I don't know, it's unfortunate to me that most of the time they give me an answer that I know is just not realistic. And I will be fair too in saying that most of the time when they give an answer that's not realistic, they usually don't end up becoming a client of mine because they're not necessarily in it for the right reasons. I think that expecting overnight results after, living your life in the way that you have, whether it be 5, 10, 15 years of putting on body fat and not exercising and eating a crappy diet, and then all of a sudden in 3 to 6 months expecting to undo all of that is really, really unfair. And that's one thing I think I love most about this process of health, of building a physique, is that it is the most fair process in the world, because the work you put in will result in the outcomes that you deserve. So practicing patience is definitely one of the things that I feel like I've done really, really well when it comes to building a physique that I want and that I'm proud of. You have to have patience, guys. It's not going to happen in a short amount of time. Number 3, and kind of the final one that I have, identified and posted on Instagram the other day was it's been a priority. And I did kind of touch on this earlier with number 1, the consistency part of things. So we won't spend too much time on this one, but I will just again double down on what I said about if it's not a priority, and if it's not, I don't know, everybody's different, but I think if it's not within the top 5 priorities of your life, then it's not, you're not going to make meaningful progress. You're not going to get the results that you necessarily want. And so if it's not that big of a priority to you, then I guess that's fine, but don't expect results, don't expect to build an amazing physique or to drastically improve your health if you're not willing to prioritize this. Again, I mean, I kind of talked through some of the different areas or different stages of my life where I've had to prioritize this, and at times it wasn't easy. And I will say this, at times too, I did kind of neglect it, but the times of neglect never lasted more than, I mean, a handful of months, and I got right back to it. And so again, the longer you stick with this, the more you prioritize it, the better the results are going to be. There is no doubt about that. Like you can't question that. You can't debate that at all. It really does boil down to a matter of consistency. And I mean, as you consistently do this and as you do progress, there are other things, you need to prioritize. You need to start, spending more time, well, not necessarily more time, but you need to make sure that you're being very intentional with your workouts. You need to make sure that, you're getting the proper amounts of calories and macros and all of those things as well. But really, guys, it's not magic. It's not hard. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it's definitely not a complicated process. It really does, I think, boil down to doing it and doing it consistently for a long time. So those are the top 3 attributes that I attribute to my success when it comes to the physique that I've built. And again, I'm proud of where I've gotten to. I'm proud of, some of the things that I have done. And I do want to just make one note here and maybe talk about kind of like a bonus side, or a bonus whatever attribute. I guess I don't really want to call it an attribute, but just a bonus topic, I guess, when it comes to physique. And that is, guys, genetics. I will not sit here and pretend, that genetics aren't a thing. Like, genetics are a real thing and they definitely play a role. However, the thing that I think is most difficult for me when it comes to genetics is that people either use genetics as a crutch or they don't acknowledge genetics enough. You get on Instagram and you see somebody who's just absolutely shredded to the bone, and all they talk about is what they did to get there. And they make statements like, you could be here too. The reason you're not is because you don't put in the work, which, again, like, it's true to an extent. But I just think the one thing that it's really, really important to recognize and realize is that you really shouldn't ever, look at somebody and either compare or think that you could look exactly the way they do, because, again, genetics do play a role, and it is challenging, to acknowledge that and to give it the credit that it deserves, because I wholeheartedly believe that everybody can be healthy and everybody can look good, but I don't think it's going to be the same for everybody. And so while I kind of view this from both sides of the coin, I do think, that people do make excuses based off of, just their genetics, saying that their genetics aren't good and that they can't lose weight, they can't, exercise, they can't do those things. I think that is 100% false. And I think that they are lying to themselves when they say stuff like that. However, again, just on the flip side of things, people who don't acknowledge the fact that genetics do play a role when it comes to your physique, they also are lying to themselves. So I do want to just acknowledge that as well, and kind of maybe wrap up, the fact that even though genetics do play a role, I think the first 3 things that I've talked about today of, being consistent, practicing patience, and prioritizing your health really can have an impact, and it doesn't matter, what your genetics are. Health is health, and there is a standard. I don't think that we should say, things like health come in all shapes and sizes, because I think that's overgeneralizing it, and I think that it is more There is more to it than that. I don't think it is healthy to be overweight. I don't think it is healthy to be obese. But I also don't think that having a six pack and looking shredded to the bone is always the healthiest thing either. I've been very, very blessed to have some really awesome people in my corner. And I'm so grateful for my coach, Jeff Hain, who I've had for, the past 9 months or so now. And he has opened my eyes so much to what health truly is. And while I do have goals to continue to add muscle and create a bigger, fuller physique and get as jacked as I possibly can, there's also other things that you got to pay attention to. And I'm so grateful, that I have people in my corner who have helped me, realize that. And that's my goal. That's my goal as a coach. That's my goal as a friend, to anybody who's listening, is to help you realize, what health truly is. And in these solo episodes, I'm gonna dive in more to, what health really is and what things we should be looking at. Because so often, when you think about health, you think about lifting weights or, some sort of fitness and nutrition. And those two things are definitely foundational when it comes to health. However, there's so many other things as well that we need to pay attention to and also, recognize as health markers as well. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you're still here and listen to me ramble on for a while, I do appreciate it. Again, not hopefully, but I will be doing more of these episodes in the future and look so forward to continuing to kind of dissect and talk through my beliefs and what I have learned over time is the best approach to health and overall wellness. So thanks again, guys. Look forward to catching you on the next one. One thing I would like to just throw in there and mention is, if you could please like the episode, like the podcast, share the podcast on social channels, or just with people who you think specifically would benefit from the content that is put out on the MFC Approach podcast. That goes a really long way. The more people share it, the more people comment and leave a review, the more traction the podcast will get. So if you wouldn't mind, please, take a couple of minutes and do that. It would mean the world to me. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Have a great day.